The Undead Scourge is one of the most powerful enemies in World of Warcraft. I mean, all you have to do is literally go to the Eastern Kingdoms and see how messed up some of the zones are because of Arthas and his Undead army. However, most of us know the story of Warcraft 3 and Wrath of the Lich King, but how about one of the first ever signs that showed the inevitable coming of the Scourge? One of the first signs that hinted of the coming of the Scourge took place 10,000 years ago, during the War of the Ancients. Around the middle of the War of the Ancients, Ronin and Broxigar accompanied Jared Shadowsong in a scouting party to look for survivors and any signs of the demons within Suramar City. At first, none of their party saw anything but death and destruction. A strange and eerie mist obscured their vision, houses and buildings were reduced to ash and rubble, and corpses littered the streets. No mercy had been shown. Night Elven soldiers were dead by the multitudes, refugees who fled from the demons too slowly were mutilated, men, women, and children, all of them lay dead within the streets. As if this wasn't bad enough, all of them had suffered a horrible death. None of the corpses were intact, legs, arms, and heads were all chopped off. Some corpses even appeared to be cut up after the victim's death, which horrified every member of the party. Every member but Broxigar. Broxigar was so hardened by war that barely anything had made his gut wrench. Eventually, their road was blocked with so much debris that Jared ordered their party to be split into 3 groups. 3 soldiers would travel to the left, 3 to the right, while another 3 would accompany he, Ronin, and Broxigar down the middle. As they made their way to the other side, however, only one of the parties appeared on the other side to meet them. The group on the right path was nowhere to be seen. Broxigar, not waiting for Jared's order to scout out the area and find them, instead, without waiting, steered his saber towards the path of the missing party. As he traveled along, however, he saw a figure walking towards him. "Where's your mount?" Brox growled, but as the figure approached, Brox realized that the soldier had his face and throat torn open. One eye was completely missing from its socket. The soldier was an undead. Broxigar immediately shifted his reins, rode back to the party, and told them of the undead soldier. As this happened, more undead began arising from all around them. Every single Night Elven soldier and civilian who had been struck down by the Legion marched towards them, ready to strike them down. As they attempted to flee, a soldier in the party was surrounded by the undead. He hacked and chopped with his sword, but it did little, since there were just so many of the dead. Even after the soldier had been pulled into the horde, Jared tried to make his way to him, attempting to rescue him, but Ronin stopped him and told him to pull his men back while he alone would hold back the undead. Refusing to leave Ronin alone, Jared refused and disagreed, but Brox assured the captain that he would keep the mage safe. With great reluctance, Jared led the rest of his party out of the city, while Ronin crafted a small vial with a blue liquid and hurled it at the oncoming undead. Multitudes of them ignited into blue flames, and the fires quickly spread to each and every undead. As both Ronin and Brox were about to flee, however, a flaming undead ran towards Brox's mount and collided with it, causing the saber to also catch fire. Out of pain and panic, the saber ran from the undead, but not in the direction that led away from the city, but rather in the direction that led deeper into Suramar. The saber eventually knocked Brox off of it, and quickly after, it ran off, still on fire, and deeper into Suramar, while Brox looked at his surroundings and tried to find a way back to Ronin. Along the way back, however, Brox saw a group of 7 demons conducting a ritual. 4 Fel guards standing guard, a single Doom guard scouting for enemies, and in the forefront of the group, 2 Nathrazim who were casting a spell which controlled the undead. Disgusted and even angered at the horror of which his enemies were taking part in, Broxigar began to think, silently to himself, what if this were the orcs? What if these undead that were being risen up by the Dreadlords right now were orcs? And what if they were forced to fight against their people in undeath? This was dishonoring the dead, and Brox became enraged. He hurled himself in front of the party, roaring a battle cry so loud that it even caused the demons around him to jump. He hacked away at the Felguard, sending the corpses crashing down. He parried and dodged the Doomguard's assault until a Dreadlord sought to enter the fray. The Dreadlord pointed a finger at Brox, or so he thought. Brox was too quick. Instead of pointing at Brox, Brox jumped out of the way, positioning himself behind the Doomguard. The Dreadlord had casted a spell on his own ally. The Doomguard shrieked and screamed, his body spasmed until his chest finally exploded. However, the final Felguard that still lived caught Brox off guard and struck the orc at the back of his head. Brox fell forward, dazed. The Dreadlord then approached him.
You fight well. Kill many of your friends.
At that moment, Brox thought of Tyrande. He saw himself attacking her as an undead, and refusing to let this come to reality, he leapt up, ready to fight. At that moment, however, the Nath Razim in front of him bursted into blue flames. Broxigar used this unexpected surprise to his advantage. With the other two demons caught completely off guard, Broxigar severed the head of the other Dreadlord, shattered the weapon of the Felguard, and while it was trying to flee, Broxigar cut him down. From a fallen tree, Ronan came forth, allowing Broxigar to mount his saber. It's beginning, Ronan muttered. They're starting to experiment with creating an army of the unliving. This is not the only place that they've been attempting this. A silence followed the two as they rode out of the city. You understand what I'm saying, don't you, Brox? Broxigar did. Broxigar and Ronan both knew that what they had just fought right now was the first hint of the Scourge's creation.